Welcome back from the break. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on News X. In today's day and age, in broad daylight, Anant Vijay Mandelia was driven over by accused Raj Sundaram for asking him to not drive rashly in a residential block. The road attack took place on the 8th of February around 6 p.m. The victim Anant had gone out for an evening walk when he saw the accused Raj Sundaram overspeeding and asked him to slow down and drive safely. The son of an IAS officer accused Raj Sundaram, enraged at the request, allegedly drove over Anant Mandelia and dragged him on the bonnet of his vehicle. He then abandoned the injured victim in a critical state and fled from the scene. The victim, Anant, sustained multiple injuries on his head and is admitted at Max Hospital, Saket, where he is battling for his life. In the aftermath, Stand Up for Anant has started trending on social media, with the internet demanding justice for the accused actions. While the Delhi police has now nabbed Raj Sundaram and action is awaited, what's shocking is that accused Raj Sundaram's father, Kalyan Sundaram, a retired IAS officer, harbored Raj in their home for over 3 days. This could have been any of us, and we now demand action in the strictest of terms to feel safe and to ensure that such road rage is kept in check and in fact eliminated. Joining us at this point is Advocate Ashwini Dubey, Senior Advocate. Rekha Agarwal, Senior Lawyer, also joins us live. Ved Bhushan, former ACP Delhi Police, is live with us. Ellen Rao, former DCP Special Cell, is joining us on the broadcast. Let me begin with you first, Ellen Rao. Shocking case, of course, and very shocking that reportedly the parents of this boy hid him for 3 days before he was finally arrested. Ellen Rao? Okay, I think we've lost him. All right, Ved Bhushan, let me bring you in here. Ved Bhushan.
Yeah. Yes, I can.
You know, what are the what is the stringent punishment that can be given out in this matter? Should the law be hardened against such individuals? And also, should the parents be booked as well, considering that they harbored this boy for 3 days?
Initially, this case was registered under section 279-338. There's a simple accident. Ultimately, there was a eyewitness, and moreover, the injured Anand is recovered now. He is the star witness. As per the story, as per the available evidences, he 200 gaj tak, 200 yards tak, he put this boy on his bonnet and let throw, and father and son run away. Later on, they were arrested from Gurgaon outside Lee Meridian Hotel. All the CCTV footage, all the evidence is available showing that they intentionally avoiding arrest and they were not joining investigation. This amounts to harboring. His father is not a simple person, he is an IAS officer and responsible person of the society. If he is doing such like this, it's better he must hand over his son to the police for investigation purposes. But he intentionally, they run away from their house was locked, they were staying in a hotel in Gurgaon. This shows that their intentions are dubious. The most important thing, one witness says that he was asking this boy to not run this car in the society in a zigzag way. But it will be a very important issue here. उसके जो नेबर थे बार-बार उनको कह रहे थे कि आप जो है इस तरह से कार ना चलाएं zigzag way में. It can be a serious matter. किसी का accident हो सकता है. There may be some damage. It will be a very important issue, but his father was negligent. ये सबसे important चीज है कि whether he was having his driving license or no. Why, if he was having no driving license, his father is solely responsible why he hand over this car for driving to his son. This case is very serious. If you remember, Supreme Court ने ये कहा था, हालांकि उसमें drunken driving के लिए था कि जो भी कार या vehicle सड़क पर शराब पीकर चला रहा है, it's just like a bomb. But if a trained driver is running a car in a zigzag way and he don't know the driving, it's a very serious issue. He can kill as many as persons. So it's a very good thing that the Anand survived in a hospital after many days. But the investigation is still in progress and it will take some time to come on the conclusion who was responsible. Moreover, it will be fixed on the date of charge. When charge will be fixed, then it will be decided what the gravity of the offense and the responsibility and culpability of the accused and his father, who happened to be an IAS officer, ex-IAS officer, will be decided by the court and trial will take place accordingly.
Ashwini Dubey, come in here. on this case, what you make of it, this kind of mindset of the fact that one can do anything and nothing will happen to him, the sheer impunity in which he drove his car, dragged this boy on the bonnet, for quite a few meters, then sped away, was in his house for 3-4 days before finally being arrested. What is this mindset, Ashwini Dubey?
Yeah, thank you, Uday bhai, for having me here. Uday bhai, of course, with all solidarity to the person who got injuries in road accident. But my argument on four folds. First is that there are not adequate laws to deal with these kind of cases. What is the law? What will happen tomorrow? What the prosecution would be able to prove? Whether it is a 307 or not? Whether it's a simply case of hit and run case? Whether 307 the applicability is met out or not? That's all the ingredients and the offenses are to be proved by the prosecution. Here, my point is on fourfold. Why I'm saying why road accidents there is not the strict law. Is still the colonial law which was existing prior to the independence, made by the Britishers for their convenience, for their suitability, is still existing, be it the Salman Khan's case, BMW case, Shilpa Mittal case. Uday bhai, one, there are not the adequate laws to deal with these kind of cases. Two, there is a need to revamp IPC qua these kind of cases, the cases like 304A, the cases like the hit and run cases. Now the road accident in India are very increasing. It's a trend that many people, the statistics I would show in the subsequent part. But the question herein that whether these kind of cases are proved in the court or not. Ved Bhushanji and L. Raoji would agree to me that due to lack of evidences, most of the accused gets acquitted by the court of law.
Agreed, Dubey sahab. We agree. There are a lot of ambiguities. Witnesses are not available. They don't want to go in the court for long trial. We entirely agree. That's why everybody takes these cases very lightly. Yeah, exactly. I agree, Dubeyji, with you. Law is not sufficient to deal such cases in the court of law. Yeah.
Okay. I want to quickly also ask you, Ashwini Dubey, yes, you can complete your point, of course, but also, does the law need to be further strengthened? And should there be even further punishment for those who do it in this manner? Of course, any sort of hit and run is wrong, but if it's done in this manner, in which literally it's a road rage case, should the punishment be increased?
With due respect to all the panelists, see, look, section 307 of IPC, this, if I see and I apply my own mind as a student of law, then I would find that the courts at the first instance would not agree that 307 is met out. As of now, no doubt, the prosecution has made a case on the basis of the sole testimony of a witness which was found there. But ultimately, the question arises whether there was an intention to kill or knowledge that death will be caused is a question of fact and would depend on the facts of the given case. The circumstances that the injury inflicted by the accused was simple or minor will not by itself rule out application of 307 IPC. But determinative question is intention or knowledge, as the case may be by the nature of the injury. The father who was sitting next to the driver, he was a 27 years old man having a driving license. Whether the person sitting in the car would be held accountable? Of course, no. So what is the need? There is a need to revamp the law which is existing for decades, law which should be changed when the society is changing, keeping in with the society's perspective. When the changes in the society, perspective of the people and the nature of crimes, the laws needs to be evolved as well. The IPC enacted in 1860 was ahead of its time and has been in India for 1.5 centuries. It has not kept pace with the progressive times. The act brought by Britishers to meet their needs and objectives have somewhere failed to serve the people in the modern times. So it is based on the colonial attitude of Britishers to rule India. Therefore, I do agree with you, I concur with you that revamping of IPC is required to shift the power from the rulers to the people. The restructuring of IPC is needed as many of its provisions have become obsolete with the changing economic developments and technological advances. Over to you, Uday bhai.
Okay, let me quickly go across to Rekha Agarwal as well at this point. Rekha Agarwal, what is your first reaction to this matter, this case, this mindset that exists in certain citizens across India, in Delhi, that they can do anything and nothing will happen to them, that they are untouchable by the law. And what's worse is that their parents, instead of telling them what's right and what's wrong, actually protect them, which further embolden this very negative mindset, this very wrong mindset?
Uday, my first reaction was obviously of outrage that a young man, with two tiny children, I think one child is 6 years and I think the other is 4 or something like that. So the man was hardly about 45 years of age, was battling for his life. And that too for no fault of his, that he just came out of his house for a stroll. And there he gets hit by somebody. Now, whether time will tell once evidence has been led, by both the parties, and depends upon what is the charge sheet that is filed. But just reading, the news reports in the media that, the victim, Mr. Mandalia, had just ticked him off the other day, the accused, for driving in a very rash manner. So if that be the case, then this is certainly, there is no doubt that, this could have been done, with that, with that mens rea in mind, to use a legal terminology, that, oh, let me, set him right, let me show him his place, that, how dare he take me off for driving in a rash and negligent manner. But from whatever I've read right now or seen in the newspaper reports, it really couldn't be a case of preempted murder, though of course it is, very premature, and it would not be in my place, it would be out of place to really say that whether it was preempted or, whether it was a preconceived, conscious decision by the accused, to knock him off. But I mean, I think that would be a little far-fetched, He may have been nurturing, a little, chip on the shoulder that, oh, I'm a young boy and how dare somebody take me off? I'm the son of a, of a high-serving official, retired person. So since all those things are there, of course, they are important to be considered, in totality. But of course, there is no doubt that, more and more youngsters are now losing their patience. They're becoming more and more impatient, arrogant, overconfident. That is the kind of mindset that I see in the younger generation nowadays. And it is unfortunate that parents, who just don't, have any respect for the law. Though, of course, as a father, the immediate instinct of the, the accused father would be to protect his son. I mean, it would be, very few parents would probably just turn in their son and say that, oh yes, here's my son, book him in accordance with law and let law take its own course. That would be really expecting too much from a father, howsoever, educated and, responsible he may be. So I think that having seen whatever I did in the media, this is certainly a case of road rage, or there's a case of negligent driving.
What are the sections? What are the sections that should be slapped, Rekha Agarwal, and what is the maximum punishment for both the driver of the vehicle and his father for harboring the accused?
See, definitely rash and negligent driving, there is no doubt that, he's going to be booked for rash and negligent driving. But whether he will be booked, for attempt to murder, that considering that, the victim is now battling for his life, God bless him, may he survive. I believe he's on a ventilator right now, and hope he comes out, hale and hearty ultimately. But a lot will depend upon what is the ultimate fate of the victim. God forbid if anything happens to him, then the accused has really had it. Then the charges of, attempt to murder are certainly going to be, enforced against him. And I see that I see a very long battle now. A lot will depend, as I said, on the victim's, health condition, and what happens ultimately to him. But all the circumstances have to be seen in totality. Let's not just take the case in isolation, that here's a young boy who drives rashly, negligently, and his father harbors him. See, the word harbor is like, it's generally used when you're harboring a criminal or shielding a criminal. Now, here is a son who was driving in a negligent manner. And of course, as a responsible citizen of the country, whether he's a father or whether he's not the father, whether he's a stranger, it is his duty, to see that the law is enforced and that he shouldn't have been protecting his son. But be that as it may, it is very, very unfortunate that the father was not able to control his son, from driving in that rash and negligent manner, which ultimately has led to grievous injuries on the victim, and that too head injuries. And if he's on a ventilator, God bless him. And I would really say that it is premature to discuss the issue right now until one reads the FIR and let us see what is the charge sheet that is filed. Because if one eyewitness, there is an eyewitness, let us not forget there's a public eyewitness to it. And the testimony of a public eyewitness is taken with a lot of sanctity. There's a lot of sanctity attached to that, because this eyewitness would not have any axe to grind, either way, either for the victim or for the accused. So, but since he has said that yes, the victim had ticked off the accused just a day before for not driving in that manner, I think that things are going to, I think the accused is in very, very hot waters right now. And ultimately, let us see what is the charge sheet that is filed and whether he can ultimately be booked for attempt to murder or not. That will depend whether the prosecution is able to build out a case that it was a planned, conscious decision by him to, knock off the victim in this manner. A lot will depend upon that.
Yes, indeed. Let me bring in Ellen Rao at this point as well. Ellen Rao, do you believe there's a strong case building up here against the accused, against the father who harbored him? And do you believe an example must be set that the high and mighty cannot get away with literally daylight murder? I mean, here the intention to harm is coming out pretty clearly, and it's been captured on CCTV camera. This brazenness, this impunity.
Yes, Uday, it all depends upon the circumstances and the available evidence on the spot what is there. Only saying that his father did not support him, and no doubt it's a road rage case, and in generally road rage cases, it's a spur of moment, this all things happen. But definitely, as Mr. Ashwini Dubey and Ms. Rekha Agrawal said, that it all depends on the mens rea, or what is the intention, whether if there any intention to kill someone or attempt to kill someone, in that mens rea and attempt and knowledge that what he is doing, that will be lead to some person's death, or maybe some serious injuries leading to the death. So all depends upon the circumstances and the evidence available in this case. Of course, there is CCTV footage and the independent public witness. That is very important aspect of the investigation, that the public witness, what he says and what that is, if that is corroborated by the CCTV footage, and if all the circumstances build up a case of attempt to murder, then it may be. But it's very early to say because the investigation is in progress, and when the investigation is going on, I don't think that we should comment on whether it's a full-fledged case of attempt to murder or not, or because let the investigation be complete, as Mr. Ved Bhushan also confirmed that the investigation is in progress, and unless there is a result outcome of the final investigation, it's very difficult to say at this moment whether it's a full-fledged case of attempt to murder or not. But definitely, we also intend to inculcate that some education or some sense of responsibility and some self-discipline. As Mr. Dubey said, that the law is not very much sufficient, and it's all colonial law. But definitely nowadays, when we are in an education stage, we must inculcate very good sense of education to our children, and especially to the young guys, that they should not lose their temper like this, and without driving license nobody should be allowed to drive. In this case, whether it should be confirmed whether the driver was having license or not, that is a separate issue. But definitely road rage, why road rage happens? It all that the person loses their temper because of certain minor things. If at that moment something is controlled, that is called self-defense, self-constraint, then this type of incident can be averted. So we have to be very sure that our children or our society, not only children, the other adult people also, while they are driving on the road, they should feel the sense of responsibility, and they should also respect the other road users. Maybe it's a pedestrian or a cyclist or a scooterist. When I am driving a car, I must respect all these road users also, because we must take safety and security of every person in our mind. So in such type of cases, when some restraint is there, then this type of incident can be averted. And now again I am coming on the investigation part, and our law is I think our law needs to be changed, particularly in the case of 304A. There should be two categories of 304A. One category when there is normal accident without any intention, without any knowledge, all of a sudden accident took place. That should be treated as like a 2 years punishment maximum and bailable offence is there. And particularly in other cases when the driver is drunken, he is driving rash and negligent, is over speeding without license, and in so many categories while such thing happens, and in particularly when the person is driving and drunk. In that case, that 304A should be amended to that respect, that in that case, in many cases like BMW case, that section 304 was added in that case, attempt to murder, culpable homicide not amounting to murder. So there should be, but in that case also, that person was convicted under 304A only. But it all depends upon the trial and the investigation part, and what are the quality of investigation, what is the evidence, what evidence has been collected by the IO. It all depends, man. And in the long process of trial, like Mr. Ved Bhushan said, that when there is a long process of trial, the witnesses tend to forget what happens, because years to years take place to finalize any criminal trial. So all these things, when taken into consideration, we must see that such things should not happen, and that even our government and should think that the law should be amended, CRPC should be amended, and in some cases IPC sections also be amended, because nowadays the circumstances has been changed, and these penal sections were made in 1861, long back when the British government was there. So slightly that amendments are being done, but even still so many things, so many sections are needed to be amended according to law, according to the changing circumstances nowadays.
Ashwini Dubey, why don't you come in here?
Yeah,
on the
Uday,
legal aspect, yes.
Uday bhai, yes, I do concur and do agree with all the three panelists on this topic. Indeed, there is a need to revamp the old colonial law and need to formulate the law keeping in view the present scenario, and also understanding, visualizing on its wisdom the 100 years after making this law, what would be the situation. Uday bhai, if you will see the statistics, in 2020, there were 53,872 people died in road accident. In 2019, 47,984 people died in the road accident. And globally, road accidents account for 1.3 million deaths and 50 million injuries. And you know India's contribution to the fatality is 11%. Still, we don't have a law. Still, the Ansal brothers, see, you just see what happened in Ansal Plaza, the Ansal Cinema Hall. Still, that matter is hanging from one judicial court to another judicial court, and that has not been taken to the logical end. What happened in these cases? Years and years takes place in conducting the trial. Years and years takes place in proving a case, and sometimes witness turns hostile. Sometimes keeping in the view circumstances. What happened in Nanda's case? What happened in Hitler and Salman Khan's case? Have we learned a lesson? Not yet. So my strong recommendation is, as a student of law, the government must bring a uniform law which will cater these kind of cases. The roads should be engineered properly. The road act, the people who who drive cars and use mobile phones, they should be dealt strictly. It's not only the drinking driving, it's also whenever an accident takes place, immediately there has to be a law which will take place, and there has to be restricted punishment. Then only we can avoid these kind of cases. Over to you. So there is a completely change. The law has to be changed. IPC has to be amended.
Uday, I just want to add something into the Ajay Dubey's interest. The Supreme Court has clearly said that the four instances, that is a road rage leading to these four situations like drunken driving, red light jumping, talking on mobile phone, and overspeeding. These four offences on the road are made very culpable, because Supreme Court has said that if somebody is found violating all these things and doing all these committing of these offences, they should be dealt very seriously, and their license should be suspended for at least 3 months. And if it is the same offence is done without twice, then their license should be cancelled. So these things have been taken care of by Honorable Supreme Court also. And the implementation is very important. And our Delhi police is definitely doing their best to implement all these orders and the amended Motor Vehicle Act punishments. So people also must think about that. They honor our law of land, so that every road user is safe while driving their vehicles and or using their roads.
All right. Well, let's leave it at that. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.